good crowd last night, and I'm excited to see what God's doing. We've got a lot of things going on in the hopper around here at the church. Been a busy week, just trying to do some planning for the future and getting things done. Spring campaign coming up right after the Old Paths Conference. That reminds me, you need to register now if you're coming to the Old Paths Conference. Go to oldpathsconference.com. Going to be a great week. I promise you it's going to be a great week. And if you come, you'll find that God will bless you in a tremendous way. And I hope that you do that. Want to give a special happy anniversary to the families in our church, Brother Shank and Rachel Sager, and then Brother Mark and Sheila Trimble. Both of them today is their anniversaries. Happy anniversary to y'all. And I'm glad that we can work together in the ministry. And I'm looking forward to seeing most of you later on this day in some meetings that we have. But I hope that you have a wonderful anniversary. And I like kind of mentioning that in a world when anniversaries and people being married instead of living together is becoming more rare than it ever used to be. I like to kind of point that out, and I'm glad that they're doing well, and I'm certainly grateful and happy about that. Well, today, let's talk about a very important topic, and that's the Bezaleel Ministry. In Exodus 31 and verse 1 and 2, the scripture says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, See, I have called by name Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, and of the tribe of Judah." Now you say, preacher, what in the world are you talking about? Well, let's talk about it. When God went to build the tabernacle of the wilderness, he prepared a man, and this man's name was Bezaleel, to do the job of building the tabernacle. He was a very skilled man. Bezaleel was not a preacher, but he was a skilled worker in his task that he did. Now, the scriptures teach that God gave him that talent and wisdom, get this now, to help build the tabernacle and all the things needed for the priests to use in their service to God. Now, it's interesting that Bezaleel never preached, as far as we know, never preached one sermon, but he was critical to the work of the Lord being done. Bezaleel was not what many would call a full-time servant of the Lord, but he was as critical to the work of the Lord as those who were in full-time service. He was not an Aaron. He was not of that crowd that worked in the tabernacle. He was just a full-time. He just took his talents and he used them for God. What made this man was so critical to the work of the Lord was that his talents that he used in his employment, he used those same things for the work of the Lord. He had to have employment to make a living, but his talents that God gave him were for God's work. I want you to get that. So Bezaleel will never be known for what he did with his talent for the world, but he will always be known for what he did for God's work with his talent. Every church has Bezaleels in their midst, that if they use their talents to help their church, it would further the cause of that church. Now, I'm a big believer that God's placed inside of every church the people needed to accomplish the work that God has for that church to do. The problem is that many people have never used their talents as a way to serve the Lord. I want to share a few thoughts about this critical thing about being involved in the ministry of your church. First, God always equips a church with people who dedicate themselves to serve him. If God has a work for your church to do, get this now, he equips that church so they can do that work. Likewise, God equips his people of that church to serve him so that his work can be furthered in reaching the lost for Jesus Christ. Second, you have something that you can contribute to the work of the Lord. So everyone has some talent they can use for the Lord. Never underestimate what your ability is in the church. A church often needs mechanics, decorators, organizers, people to prepare food, handymen, just to name a few things. Every church needs these. Now, you're good at something, so use what you're good at to help your church. Third, Bezaleel did not charge for his talents, but he gave of his talent to further God's cause. This is critical. The church is not a bank for you to make a living from. Too many people want to charge their church. Your love for the Lord and your church ought to be so great that you would dedicate your time as a gift instead of charging the church. God gave you that talent that you have. Now that's God's talent that he loaned to you. Now, because he gave it to you, you owe it to God to use that talent for what God gave it to you to use it for, and that is for his work. Fourth, your talent contribution, it's not a substitute for soul winning. This is very critical. Bezaleel still had to serve God like everyone else. And you still must be a soul winner despite giving of your talents to serve the Lord. Now, there's no substitute of labor for God's command to be a soul winner. God's command to be a soul winner must always be obeyed, along with using your talents to help your church. The benefit of the Bezaleel Ministry is found in the meaning of his name, in the shadow of God. The blessing of giving your talents to be used by God always results in his presence overshadowing your life. Think about that. I love that. In the shadow of God. Bezaleel was willing to work in the shadows, not just any shadow, the shadow of God, by using his talent to help build that church. And get this now, and his name will be remembered for an eternity. People who build great edifices like the Golden Gate Bridge, the Eiffel Tower, I think of the Sears Tower in Chicago, and all these great buildings, no one will ever know their name. Can I tell you this? One day when we get to heaven, those who use their talents for God will know their name. They'll get their rewards in heaven, and their names will be remembered forever because they invested talents in the work of the Lord. My friend, I don't know of anything that is more critical to this right here. Every church could do something mighty if people would just say, I want to take my talent that I have. God gave it to me. And it's not my talent. God loaned it to me. Therefore, I want to take what God loaned to me and I'm going to use it for God's work and God's service. That's what I'm going to do. When you get to that point in your life and you're willing to do that, oh, my friend, God can do something mighty for you if you just learn to say, I'm going to take my talent, use it for God. Well, I hope this is a help to you today. Now, let's remember today, be good to everyone. Everyone's having a tough time. Have a great day, my friend.